He sat alone in the far corner of the armory, sleeves rolled up, hands blackened with carbon speaking softly to the weapons nobody else could fix. To most, he was just the old tech in the back, quiet, outdated, maybe even misplaced, until one afternoon a Navy SEAL walked in, dropped his custom rifle without a word on the old man's bench. And for just a second, you could feel every eye in the room tilt toward that corner, wondering what the hell was about to happen. Because in a place where trust is earned one shot at a time, no SEAL hands over his weapon to a stranger unless he knows something the rest of us don't. Yeah, that happened. Redstone Armory sat like a fortress of corrugated steel and sun-beaten concrete in the Arizona desert, filled with the scent of gun oil, solder, and old dust, a place where every argument about springs or tolerances got settled with a bet and a test fire out back. Conversations hummed with bad jokes and technical bravado. Radios sputtered out ancient country music, metal clanged and snapped all day. Everyone argued over who could coax the last bit of accuracy out of a battered barrel or fix a jammed gas ring faster. But one workstation, the battered one in the shadows, was its own country. That was where James Gunner Maddox worked. He was about 50, hair gone iron gray and white at the temples, sun-baked lines carved deep into his face, arms thick and marked by 100 near misses. Nobody remembered his first day or who hired him. He was just there, part of the place like the dust and the hum. He didn't laugh, didn't join the talk, never sought advice or offered it, and kept his space tidy in a way only he understood. Some said he was sent from HQ on a favor. Others whispered he'd been a contractor in Afghanistan, or the guy patched onto a civilian list after something went bad overseas. The older techs didn't buy the rumors. They figured he was just someone the system wanted to forget. But if Maddox heard the whispers or saw the side glances, he gave no sign. When folks muttered about his age or his silence, he just kept working, steady, focused, never snapping back. He moved through his days with a kind of self-erasure, his only traces a line of perfectly repaired weapons and oil stains on his gloves. First in, last out, never asking for better hours or special parts, never taking a job off someone else's bench unless it landed there like a stray dog looking for shelter. That's how the hopeless cases piled up in Maddox's corner. Battered M110S with misaligned pistons, Remington shotguns that wouldn't feed, Frankenstein rifles that had cycled through every other tech twice. Notes taped to the stock's stiff charging handle, gas rings replaced, still jamming, told the story. By the time they reached Maddox, hope had dried up. Sometimes a tech would toss a challenge his way, show us a miracle, old man. Maddox never replied. He's got to work slow and methodical, taking each weapon down to its bones. He didn't rush, didn't mutter, just dismantled each piece with a patience that looked almost like ritual. While the others grabbed digital calipers and torque wrenches, Maddox trusted battered steel rules, hand-sharpened picks, and a whisper of metal on skin. He'd find a cycling flaw in a bolt carrier with nothing but the pressure of his thumb. He'd true a battered optic by holding it up to the daylight, using a scrap of screen to square the reticle. No high-dollar gadgets. No computers, just light, shadow, and instinct. Word got around. If your rifle came off Maddox's bench, it just felt better, tighter, smoother, more alive. No notes, no documentation, just subtle, invisible upgrades, and by the time anyone noticed, he was already on to the next lost cause. Then came the day the SEALs rolled in, bringing a new kind of tension. You could feel it in the way the shop hushed, the way the junior techs straightened up. The SEALs' weapons weren't just tools. They were extensions of muscle and memory, each one modded to perfection and battered by use. The list, 17 units, full diagnostic, pressure test, 72 hours, no exceptions. The job was exhausting, every checklist checked and rechecked, but there was one rifle that didn't feed a 18 Malawian Mod 1 with field mods nobody recognized, scarred by years on salt-soaked boats and hard days. When every tech had failed to clean the stone-baked carbon from its guts, the owner silent, sunglasses wearing, still just nodded. If you can't fix it, don't touch it. I'll take it as is. Then he left, and the rifle sat marked with red tape, untouchable, a problem nobody wanted to own. That's when Maddox made his move. Wordless as always, he picked up the 18 Malawian kwaches, carried it back to his corner, and got to work. A couple of techs snickered, betting the old man would break something, but their laughter faded as the shop realized Maddox was dead serious. He felt the barrel, checked the balance, noted every scar, then bent over the weapon with a patience that drew a hush from the room. That's when Nate Jackson, one of the most respected SEALs in the unit, took notice. Jackson didn't trust anyone with his personal 416 Hong Kong dollars, a rifle nobody had touched but him in 7 years. Yet, after watching Maddox work, Jackson paused, then brought his own rifle over, set it on Maddox's table, and said for the whole shop to hear, "Let him work." In that moment, the mood shifted. Maddox cradled Jackson's 416 Hong Kong dollars, feeling it for flaws no machine could read, closing his eyes, listening for the faintest off note, the kind that could only be caught by someone who'd seen rifles fail in places where failure meant death. 10 minutes later, it was done. No words, no show. He handed the rifle back, and Jackson cycled it once, nodded, and returned to his corner. In the armory, that kind of silent trust was louder than any applause. The whispers started, "Did you see that? I've never watched anyone fix a gun so fast." The story stuck. The old man who needed no praise, just a chance to work. After that, Redstone changed. Maddox's reputation stopped. Even Briggs, the master sergeant in charge, started digging into Maddox's history, finding only redacted files, high-level clearances, a cryptic record that hinted at special operations past, maybe DevGru, SEAL Team 6, but nothing certain. The only thing clear was Maddox's role. He was the last stop, the man you trusted with the jobs nobody else wanted. Rumors about a failed mission in Fallujah Circlita gas system jam, rifles that let men down, a line in the record, field armorer of record, Maddox James. No one blamed him, but he carried it, working in silence, making amends one rifle at a time. The armory shifted too. One morning, a new walnut gun rack stood where Maddox worked, Jackson's 416 Hong Kong dollars mounted at its center, a small brass plate underneath. Let him work. No signature, no explanation, but everyone got the message. Respect grew quiet and deep. Jokes and nicknames faded away. New techs learned quickly if you had a problem nobody else could solve, you left it on Maddox's bench and waited. No need to ask, no need to thank him. If you wanted to learn, you stood quietly and watched. Try to understand the way he listened to a rifle, the way he brought dead steel back to life. He never taught by lecture. Sometimes he'd hand a tool to a junior tech, nod if they got it right, say nothing if they didn't. Over time, the shop got quieter, more careful. Maddox never chased legacy or recognition, never asked for thanks. He worked as if each rifle was a memory, each fix a quiet act of atonement. Some said he was making amends for Fallujah, others that he'd simply found his purpose. He never explained, never tried to. When a particularly tough job landed on his bench, the shop let him be, trusting the work and the silence. In the end, his legacy wasn't a plaque or a story told in speeches. It was in every rifle that left his hands ready for another mission, in the hush that fell when he worked, in the simple, honest truth that sometimes the best thing you can do is trust the quietest man in the room. At Redstone, the silence Maddox carried became a lesson, a reminder that real mastery isn't about glory or words, but about the faith and respect earned through a lifetime of quiet, unstoppable work. Now, I want to hear from you. What do you think is the real measure of trust or redemption? Would you let a stranger's hands decide your fate? Or is there a line you wouldn't cross? Drop your thoughts below. Right or wrong, I'm all ears. And if this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that dig deep into the heart of what we carry and why.